All right. And everybody should see here on my screen. We're going to start off first discussing the topography and also what makes up the Speco Blue VMS Light and what makes up the Speco Blue um, in the server series. And as always for the webinars, if anybody has any questions, drop them in the chat box and myself or Tim will get to them as we go. I'll check it just randomly. And we have a small group today, so this is good. It allows us to go a little faster and cover more. So when it comes to the Speco Blue VMS platform, the best way to describe it is that there are two different platforms, we'll say. There is a Speco Blue VMS Light, which is the download on the website. You can manage, view, and do playback and export from your NR and HR series recorders. It is available through Windows and Mac. Now, keep in mind that it is basically our Blue series recorders is what it's going to connect to. Now, with the Speco Blue VMS Lite, it is an all-in-one program. So when we download it to a PC or a computer, as you'll see here, this computer is running the VMS Lite. I'm able to connect recorders, whether from the local network, whether it's on site, or through the internet, I can connect recorders through that VMS Lite program as well too. I can also do cameras direct to it as well. And then Speco Blue VMS Lite for the free download will do 256 cameras. That is going through recorders. If you work with cameras direct, that number does change because of the number of actual primary, secondary, and the third. Sorry, I'm going blank here. Stream settings that you have coming to that camera. Now, how do we download the Speco Blue VMS Lite from the website? We go to specotech.com. We go to Solutions. Then we're going to go to here to Speco Blue VMS. We're going to download at the bottom left, and you'll see Light for Mac, Light for Windows. This is how we get the Speco Blue VMS Lite. Now, one of the things you're going to see today that we're going to cover here is this. We have quick start guides that are for the VMS Lite and also for the enterprise client as well too. But since we're on the website, we can go ahead and say if you're going to download the Speco Blue Enterprise Client, which we'll also cover today, you're going to do so here in the middle by clicking this link as well here, Enterprise Client for Windows. So make sure that you're downloading the correct one. Is it the free version the customers are going to use, or are we going to download the Enterprise Client that is going to need to connect back to a server to make that work? So let's go back to so the VMS Lite, that was once we downloaded this computer here, we're able to connect recorders, cameras directly to it. Now, the downfalls of the VMS Lite compared to the Enterprise are that we can't manage multiple users on that VMS Lite. The way that we manage users would be to set those users up in the recorders using their own unique username and password. And then whenever you're logging into that recorder, for the first time for the VMS Lite, then you would want to log that customer into the user credentials that you created that were limiting what they were doing. So there is a way to kind of manipulate what certain users are doing, but it's not done through a central management like the enterprise is. Now, with the VMS Lite, it does do all of our analytics. It does everything that the enterprise is going to do for the most part. The really only thing it's not going to allow you to do currently is to manage multiple users. And you'll see as we go through the VMS Lite here in a few live that there's not much different. The biggest feature is that when we start introducing the servers. So when do we use VMS Lite? If we install and the customer has 3 or 4 different locations, they want to use their laptop to connect to all those locations. Maybe there's 1 or 2 people managing it. We don't have multiple users like 4, 5, or 6. You know, or if a homeowner they need to download it on their laptop, and they don't want to use connect.specotech.cloud, then it's going to be those few recorders, homeowners, business owners, where we don't have to introduce a server. Now, when we start moving into servers, there are 3 different servers that Speco offers. The SB01M. The SB01M is a desktop server, and it will support up to 256 channels. And it's just a little Blade desktop server, so it's really portable. It's nice. It sits on a desktop very easily, or you can take it with you. Now the SB11M is where we start moving into the rack mountable versions. So the SB11M will do 1,024 channels. The SB21M will do 2,048 channels, and they are rack mountable. So once we start moving into an environment where we want to keep all of our equipment rack mountable, that's when we can move up, or if our channel counts increase. You do have the SB16S. You'll notice down here at the bottom, the storage array, and we can attach one to the SB01M, or we can attach 10, I think, or 11 to the 11M and 16 to the 21M. So if a customer has multiple uses for the enterprise servers, as you'll see, we can use that as a management tool to where we're viewing using the enterprise client on PCs throughout the network, or throughout the company. But we can also use it for redundant storage as well too, to where if we want the recorders storing, but we also need redundant storage, we can have that done through the SB16S storage array. So it's robust with whatever the user need is. And we recognize that more or less it's going to be, hey, my client has 10, 20, 30 different sites with, 15, 20, 30 different cameras per site. That's when we start introducing the servers to where they do the heavy lifting and the encoding and decoding for the customer. And then those clients just connect to the server when they need access. And again, if anybody has any questions, just drop them in the chat box there. So now we've talked about the hardware for the VMS Enterprise. So right here where it says Enterprise Server, right here in the middle, that's where one of these devices is going to be sitting. When we introduce servers, that allows us to do a lot of different things. We can introduce a storage array to where we can do redundant storage. It allows us to be able to bring recorders either on a local network or recorders throughout the internet or on the external network. But it allows us to go a step farther and say, okay, from our server, we're going to create different users. Those users might be client station 1, 2, and 3. These two are going to be on the local network with the server on site, but these people are limited to these cameras, these sites. Client 2 can have a separate set of credentials, and client 3 can have a totally separate set of credentials, to where from this client station, when they connect to the server, that they're limited to what an admin had given them. So hopefully everybody understands the topography differences between when we introduce Enterprise and when we introduce the VMS Light program, what the hardware looks like, and then also from Speco's website, where do we download the three of them, or the two of them. So moving forward, once we select this, it's going to say Windows. We're going to give it the information here. Once we hit submit, it's going to email you out a copy of the download. That download is going to allow you to download the Speco Blue VMS Light. It is going to look like this right here, Speco Blue VMS. And once let me just close out and just reopen it so everybody can kind of see what that process looks like. Now it's important to note that I am using the Speco Blue VMS Light program. The only difference between connecting in the two, and I don't know, Tim, if you ever got a screenshot, you're welcome to share that. When we connect, let me drop down the screen. Okay. So when I connect using the client, it's going to ask me to connect to a server. And so all I want to do is direct it to that server's IP address, to where when we first log into the Speco Blue VMS Lite, we're going to use the password admin, and then that's going to bring us to the screen. The first thing you see here is the record partitioning settings. What this is doing is it's trying to use, if you want it to, the VMS Lite to also do storage if you wanted, where we want to store if we want the VMS Lite. Now, most customers are not going to be using the VMS Lite to be able to store, so we're not going to select anything. We're just going to hit OK. So when we come here, we're going to be on our home screen. We've got a bunch of different options here. You will notice that the things that I star, the things that I star are what comes up here as my favorites, right? So there's obviously some different things down here that aren't my favorites. So you can customize it for the customer for what they're going to be doing. And I have, I basically have these three things right here: resource management, video preview, record and playback. These are the three most commonly used things on the VMS Lite. So that's usually where I used to like to start at. If we select resource management, obviously you're not going to have any sites here. You'll see that I have quite a few sites. The way that we start adding sites here is we come here and we go to add. And then you'll see here that through quickly add, it sees a local IP address of my house recorder. I've already got it added through the QR code, so I don't want to add that. But this is how if we want to add any cameras locally or recorders locally that they're going to pull up using the local IP address. But we want to go to manually add, switch it from IP address here to serial number. Everybody's familiar with the Speco QR code. We're going to enter that there. Obviously, it's running Speco protocol, and then the username and password. We can test that if we choose to, but then we would select OK. Now you're going to see in a few minutes, I'm going to create areas that are going to give me multiple options. If I'm bringing in 50 recorders, okay, what region are these recorders in? What stores are they in? How do I make it clean up on my camera tree? So you will see here that as we're bringing in recorders, if we've already done our camera tree, we can easily select where we want it to go by select area. So I would then hit OK. Once I hit OK, it's going to bring in the site. It's going to be light gray until the Speco Blue VMS Light connects to that site, and then it will get all black like you see all these sites here. Now you will notice, again, this is running the 256 camera server. I'm not over those number of channels, and there are quite a few channels, but I'm getting pretty close to it. Now, once we see a device here, when we bring it in, we can select edit. We can change that device's name. We can change what area or where the camera tree we want to go in, the username, password, see the serial number to it, hit OK. And so, or if we scroll right, we can see the QR code, basically the same things we could see. We can see that it's online. What model is this? What version firmware is it running? What's the MAC address? So a lot of things that we want to see from a logging standpoint. But we can also select one of the recorders and then hit this upgrade button and then do an upgrade. If we wanted to go to the website and download the firmware, we could browse and find it. And then update recorder firmware is this way as well too. So moving to the right, you'll see here under area settings, if we go to add, this is how we start creating these different, where do we want this to go? Whether it was hospital, you'll see that that's how I created level 1 and level 2. Or if we wanted to create house, storage, lot, demo accounts, whatever type of area that works for our custom layout. Now back going to device settings, you'll see that when we bring devices on, as we have these recorders, when we select the recorder, it allows us to be able to do recorder settings directly to the recorder, or we can come to the camera itself and then start seeing camera settings that we can change directly from the VMS as well too. So go back home, that sums up resource management. The next thing we're going to look at here is video preview. Once we select video preview, this is going to be how we're going to use the VMS to be able to see different views, different camera layouts. On the bottom, you can come here and select 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, or up to 100 different cameras at one time. It's going to see those in a substream setting because it's a bunch of different thumbnails. And then you'll notice down here we have different on-screen display, audio broadcast where we can turn that on. Where and you'll see this popped up the screen here to where I can actually select which camera I want to be able to broadcast while I'm watching all this live. I can also come here and simply turn on the audio right here as well too, to where I can start hearing that camera's mic if it has a mic and it's turned on. If we want to hit this button here, any of our AI, if it show intelligent area, it's going to start boxing off any of the AI. You'll see here as the cameras start to kind of report in, you'll see that any of the AI that is programmed on that camera is going to start showing up. Or if I wanted to close out all channels, I could do that here. Now, there's a save button. So what this save button does, let's say that we came in and we selected 4 channels. And I said, okay, this is a custom view for me. I'm going to come hit the save button and you'll see that I can create it as 25 camera view. It could be test 2. Okay. And then you'll notice where they go is up here with these 4 dots, all the different presets that I have made with PTZ cameras, with 360 cameras, with LPR cameras, with all of my facial detection cameras. So I've went in here and found the camera that I wanted, moved it over to the tree, and then created a custom layout, which then saves over here that I can go to at any different time. Now, something else unique about the viewing platform here is you'll notice as I pulled up these different views, they did stay up top. If I want to close any of those out, I close them out here. But the reason they stay up top is because they then become icons where I can start pulling off multiple uh, screen. So I multi-monitor here. So I now have these two views on two different monitors when I could be coming back in here and start doing investigative work or watching while I also have multi-monitors. So what this does for you, for the customer, is if the customer says, hey, I have a monitoring station here, or I have a guard and they need to be able to see, 4 or 5 different monitors, that's usually something that's kind of tough in the industry because you have to use video matrices. There's things that's involved to make that work. Well, with the Speco Blue VMS Light and the enterprise client, you're able to make that work using the software itself. And honestly, it's probably one of the most valuable things that we see with the VMS Lite and the VMS Enterprise that's being used today. So if you're not using that, definitely take advantage of that resource. So going back to the 3 different main topics that we're going to be using, now we're going to jump into how do we do record and playback? So if we select record and playback, you're going to notice we have all the different channels. So we have all the different, let's see here. Let's go select a camera. You'll see right here that we can come and look at a certain day. If I went to yesterday, I'm going to hit play. So this is going to give me the timeline of this. I'm going to zoom in so everybody can see a little bit better. And then the purple, you'll notice, is going to be scheduled recording, which is our 24/7. Motion is going to be yellow every time there's motion. Everybody knows that anytime that there's bugs, rain, sleet, or anything that can be triggered as motion. Now you will see here that I've got some AI that's going on here. That's going to be this lighter blue color here, where if I were to zoom in, that's going to tell me that there was probably a person or a vehicle that drove through. There it is. And the way that we can filter from these layers here, if we choose to, is if we go to by event, I can select remove scheduled, remove motion, just show me AI. And then if I zoom in here, I can take a whole day's recording and know that these were the only 2 AI events that occurred during that day. Now, if I wanted to be able to take this clip, I'm going to hit the clip button. I'm going to start it. I'm going to hit where I want to end, right? So I've created this clip right there. I'm going to hit the download button, and then this is going to download this camera, and it's going to tell me where it's storing it at to the backup path, which is C drive backup storage light. That's the camera. It's a 38-second video, and the progress here is going to show me what is the progress of that download. I'm going to go ahead and stop that just so we don't need to do that now. So now you'll see that we're under record management now. So now we're going to go back to record and playback where we're still watching the same video as earlier. Now, if I right click this, you will notice that I can go switch it to mainstream, and right clicking the screen is going to give us any type of camera options that we wanted to be able to do, to where if we wanted to take this and see it full screen. And I'm going to exit full screen and get back to where we were. Now we can see multiple cameras on here as well too. And keep in mind something about our platform. If you use our face detection, if you use our facial recognition, or if you use our LPRs, the VMS Light and Enterprise does give you that option through the face and the vehicle. So by going to the face, we're going to have to upload. We're going to go to upload, target picture. So we're going to go to an account that we know that we're running. I think here's one right here, which is this. So we'll take this camera here, and actually I need to switch that to face recognition. Where did it go? let's see here. Here we go. Entry face. Okay, so we're going to select that camera. I'm going to search for it. And I don't know if they were open. Let's go look for yesterday. So what I'm looking for here is just search for all of them. So now what I'm looking for is going to have to be turned on. There we go. So now it's going to go through and show me all the faces that I detected. Now, obviously, you have to have face detection or facial recognition turned on. And when it was the first error I was getting was showing me that I obviously did not have that turned on. But you'll see here that it's showing me from all the different cameras. A few different things. I can add this person. Oops. You'll see here that I can add them to a database if I choose to, just like I was putting them on a block list. I can upload their image, or I can use this person here as my face search. And so you'll see that I'm now able to take this face and I can compare it with, you'll see that I've got 4 different Herbal Care Pluses in here. I can compare that with this person's image, and then it's going to go across and find that person throughout. Obviously, they just came in one store, but where we use this at is banks, retail environments, gas stations, where somebody steals, we're able to add them to a database. If it's a bank environment, if you wrote bad checks, or if you came in, we suspect you're doing something, we can see if you came in and tried to case out the other banks. But it's also a way that we're able to quickly recognize who walked in and out of a location. Now, this right here, while we're in record management, this is a pretty unique feature because a lot of people aren't familiar. In the recorder under the AI triggers, you have the option for a snapshot. So what that snapshot does, it allows you under smart snapshot retrieval to be able to come in and select, okay, which location are we looking at? Let's look for, let's just search for all the herbal cares. We can then either search for human faces, motor vehicles, non-motor vehicles. So it could be a human. And then we could come in and say, okay, what gender are we looking for? Let's only look for males. Let's do a search. Did I select which accounts? What did I do? All right. So we did not like that unknown male. But what we're able to do here is be able to come in and search for it's going to take any snapshot that it grabbed from any of the recorders from that's doing people and vehicle detection. And it's going to allow us to be able to search from that location to just see snapshots here. And then if we wanted to go into playback, we could go into the playback of that video. Or we could just go back into record management. Oops, just go back to search. Now, under you'll notice that it did pop up the search tab. So search is going to be also how we come in and we do anything by face. If we want to retrieve those faces, if we want to do license plate comparisons, so we can come in and search for different license plates. So if we know a license plate, we can search it across the platform, or we can go in and grab a license plate and search it from other different sources. Same thing, let's switch over to motor vehicle here. Let's just search those same sites. Now, any of these sites that are running vehicles, then we can come in and actually do different. If you're running metadata, we can come in and do different features like using the different colors or the different types of vehicles to limit this search here. And there's 59 pages of vehicles, you'll notice here. So it's a quicker way, and that's what we're trying to do for the customer as well too, is what is a faster way to be able to utilize A, let's add sites, B, if we're reviewing video footage, how do we filter, and then also how do we do a playback feature, and how do we export that video. If anybody has any questions, again, just drop them in the chat box. So moving forward, another key feature here is the emaps to the VMS. Now under the emaps, this is how we program the emaps. If we don't have anything in here, we're going to create Yeah, you can name the map. You can add it to if you've got any others already created. So we can create, you'll notice that I did a hospital and then I did sub accounts for the floor 1, floor 2 as my demo here. You can use Google Maps or you can use a picture. So I just usually upload a picture of the layout. The fire plan works well. But that's what allows us to get a starting point for, as you'll notice, I've already uploaded one. And this is actually using Google Maps, is the image of the hospital, the exterior. So what we would then do is come in here and select the hospital cameras, start moving the cameras where they go by grabbing one and putting it where it goes. And then we can also work with other, you'll see I have interior floors here where we can put the camera where it goes. And we're now creating a different layout, a viewing layout for the customer, no matter how many floors they have. We can always grab the cameras and add them where they go. Now, what this does for us is if we come back home, you go to video preview, you'll notice EMAP monitoring here. So the EMAP monitoring is where we're able to come in and say, okay, which map are we working with that recreated? So if it was the exterior, you'll see that we got a few different things going on up top. We got pending alarms. There's 16 of them. What is the device type? So this is telling us what are we looking for. So I can remove some of those. It's going to remove some of the different the things that we see here, right? So if I wanted to, let's go back to IP cameras, smart IP cameras. It's showing me, and then let's remove our sensors. But this is showing me which cameras are basically our cameras or other cameras, right? On Viv or Smart would be Speco cameras. You can switch to alarm EMAP. And so if any of these events occur, as you'll see here, filter alarm type, where we can actually come in here and select all and say, okay, just show me if there was people counting or uh, we'll just say intrusion detection. So it allows me to be able to change. Let's close the refresh that. So it's going to start changing how I see things that automatically pop up over here. I can clear all. You'll notice here is an overlap button where I can actually move these around. And you can't see, but I'm multi-monitoring these where I can multi-monitor these screens. At any point in time, I could go full screen to this camera, or I can come in, turn the mic on. I can control PTZ. So it allows you like a true guard feature. If I want to click this camera, it's going to pop it up for me. I click that camera, it's going to pop it up on the next available screen. But also what's unique is I can take this for that customer and I can take this to a whole nother screen with my other cameras, can either follow it, right? Or I can unclick this tile and bring them back to here. But what's unique is a customer can be using this on another screen while they're sitting here doing anything else on the main screen. So it's what makes the recorder very flexible and very powerful is multiple different layers of, we got EMAP features, we've got different layers of recording where we can filter based off of AI, we can filter based off of motion scheduled, um, face detection, people detection, plays nice with the server or with the VMS Light. And, this is a pretty quick webinar today. It's, honestly, with our VMS and our VMS Lite, the unique thing about it is that what we're working with here today, if you know how to use the VMS Lite, the VMS Enterprise is the exact same platform. The only thing that's different is when we start it up, we connect it to the server. So the server is going to be what holds all the devices compared to the VMS Lite, which you're seeing here, the program is the one connecting to the devices. What's also important to note is that even though we have all these devices connected, until I go to video preview, you notice that anytime I switch to a different screen, it requests video, which means it's never actually always connected to those devices, right? So it allows me to be able to connect up to 256 cameras, 1,024 channels, but not be utilizing the bandwidth of them always being connected to a server. So if anybody has any questions, I want to take questions, comments. If there's anything that you want to see that I didn't cover, just let me know. But again, today's webinars are pretty quick and to the point one. If you did not download the documentation in the right, I'm going to go over that now. The two documents that you see there, let me just pull up my screen and get those as well, are going to be the quick start guide for the VMS and for the VMS Lite. Let me go to the chat box. I think I've already downloaded this. This is what you should see here. All right, once you download it, you're going to see this, and you're going to see the VMS Light Quick Start Guide, right? And this is going to take you through downloading the Speco Blue VMS Light for the first time. How do we do the same things that I showed you how to do? Add sites, review and playback. And then if you're working with the Enterprise, this is going to tell you the topography of how the layout goes, hardware requirements, firewall requirements, and then it's going to take you through the quick start guide of the adding device, adding a site, live view and playback, just like the quick start guide did for the VMS Lite. So use these in your everyday followings, and if you need anything from us, I'm going to stay on and answer questions or comments.